Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood was Armageddon. Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless it is. It's a flat earth nation of the golden ages past, because that's true also. I had a surprise visit. RJ from Sergio popped in from, outside of Los Angeles and drove down here. And he found out it is the middle of nowhere. So one day he could stay one day, and we did a lot. I got some pictures. It's going to take a couple of days to sort it out, but Zapata Falls, we did go there. We witnessed, we saw a lot more, but basically I was just going to share some pictures, check in with you. And it does seem that the consensus of opinion is Alamosa is not the center of the camp of the saints. The San Juan Mountains are, but the other cities around it, because, I've been trapped here, no car. I can't go visit the towns, but they're so much nicer than Alamosa, and the demonic spirit of gayness that pervades this university and this college. So anyway, that's that. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I should show the disclaimer in case I'm going to show some other videos. I know that Sergio took a lot of pictures himself, but the ones I got, let's just see where we're at here. Can you see these pictures, RJ?
All I have is a black screen. I haven't seen any disclaimer or any.
Really? Okay. Well, I better make sure that I'm sharing the screen. Don't. I get it. Okay, because I reset this after we had those issues at the beginning with the audio. That should fix it. Can you see the disclaimer now?
I think you're getting not now. I do.
Okay, good. Then it's disclaimed. So as far as the pictures go, this is a cactus flower blooming in the middle of the desert. That's one way to look at it. That's going the wrong way, I think. But I'm not sure, because I don't know if I kept too many of these. I don't know why those are still there. Because that is not the beginning of the pictures. That's the start of the trail. So you're going to do a lot of walking. And when you get there, unless you're wearing rubber shoes, you're going to get wet as have to go through this curve to go see the falls. And it ended up with, there's a line of people. You see how this is the trail. You got to one at a time it up here unless you jump in and just walk, which is what I should have done.
Well, yeah, you had weather that would allow that.
Very conducive, right? The water is still cold. One of the reasons I decided, let's go here, because I could talk with Sergio. It hasn't snowed in a long time. There's no snow on top of this mountain. It's a body part of a titan that somehow the regular system of siphoning in our body that works these pumps, once it gets going, it's just flowing. It's just a waterfall that's flowing. It doesn't know why.
And this time of year, the water would be refreshing, probably.
Something. So, and then these are just some of the rocks from inside the canyon as they twist and turn,
Mm-hmm.
That's Sergio. He has a bucket with a hammer so we could hear the ringing rocks and collect any samples. He made it. So this is the edge. And now what you have to do is get your feet wet and go over here, and you can look up and you'll see that there's another little fall. And then that's not, then there's the 30-foot fall where you can peek up. Now, I suppose it is legal to climb this, but it's pretty exhausting. And it was a good chance for Sergio, who lives at 4,000 feet, to see, what it's like at 9,000 feet. But he did really good. He only had to take one hit off the oxygen bottle. So, and it's, you're inside a Titan, it's craziness. This is the start of the trail. A good picture of the shrub, because it was so bright I couldn't see. But this is the valley floor, flat as a pancake. You can see how the San Juan Mountains protect the valley. The wind sweeps across this 150 or mile wide valley and then hits these mountains and launches the air up for the rest of the United States. So when they chemtrail us, they're actually chemtrailing the rest of the United States.
Sure.
And so this 3-picture sequence shows the no curve, still no curve, and still no curve, as just something as flat as Kansas or Illinois.
Yeah.
And we decided to go to a town nearby called Salida. And the consensus of opinion between both of us is that this would be a much better town than Alamosa. You are actually in the mountains. It's a smaller town, tons of these mud flood buildings everywhere. This A.M. Carpenter, you got your own building, they're waxing old like a garment too. This is the Salida. It's an old truck. It reminded me of a gypsy vehicle.
Sure.
Kind of cool. If you can notice, that's a piano. They got the base of a. This is their Elks building. Their clock is permanently stopped at 11 o'clock. So it is full of, this is the street that has the Elks. So I decided, I saw the door was open and it's legal to go take a picture inside. So I did. Go Elk, go. They're fraternal orders. You can't get enough of them,
Yeah.
So where is he here? Oh, he's at, we didn't have time to check out the Museum of Authenticity. Now, he pointed out this sign looks Latin, Greek, Roman, Catholic, Town founded 1901. Just a lot of conversations about how did they get these, because this is in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains. How do they get this stuff here? And the conversation turned, was it like King Tyre when Solomon, he wasn't only selling to kings, he would sell towns and he would put it all together without the sound of a hammer being heard, because it was so well made, they could just ship it. As long as they had a train or access to a river, they could deliver whole towns, whole buildings, and put them up. It was interesting, the 808 and the
nominal fee, whatever was pre-agreed upon. Yeah.
And it does seem, RJ, that they would lie to these people and tell them everything's going to be perfect. You're moving to a paradise. It's not going to get down below zero in the winter. The land is not already occupied by people who think they've owned it for at least 1,000, 1,200 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. So they tricked all these people into coming here at the same time, once in the 1840s and once in from 1888 to 1910. They tricked everybody in the world. Come to the United States and move to the mountains. It's going to be we had no idea what does this mean even, you know, what is going on here? The whole town's weird, man. But it's all mud flood. Salida, it was an interesting town. Just flashing different buildings. Yeah, I think they put them up all at one time. Another Sandusky, like Sandusky, Ohio, like the Sandusky who worked for Joe Paterno, who was raping those boys left and right. Got some more pictures of it. We saw these at a couple of garage sales. These are just the aftermarket things that if you wanted to put that on your brick building, order it. Order it when you order your brick building, and now you've proven you've got one step ahead. You can afford it. But Kenneth, he went for the extras. He got, you don't need those on top of your building unless you just, your tour group, your suckers who decided, yeah, things are so bad here, we're moving to the United States and going to keep living our great lifestyle. Your favorite year, RJ. That's when they say that one was built.
Okay.
Just another one of the embellishments you could have ordered to put on that building. The old historic, it's the same in 1902 as it is today. I'm shocked. Hey, RJ, you want to know how to make 320 gallons of beer at one time? Buy this tank. So this is the idea of how you make it in America today. You buy an old mud flood building and people like beer, so you make new beer. And yours is going to have a funny name and an angle and a craft, and people are going to snap it up like it's going out of style, and you'll be so happy. You'd think that with the House of Pythias and everything else, Salida would have a better Masonic lodge. As we walked around, we're going like, this doesn't seem like it's comparable to the other ones in town. What's going on? I'll take a picture inside. It's hard to get a picture in that glass. It really is. So this is what they look at when they're active building. I don't know. Again, Sergio's there. We got to go in the alley and find arches under the ground. Well, it didn't take long. Here's two. So it's obviously this was a 3-story building at one time. They might have built it 3 stories and just covered one up because, hey, it comes in a kit. You got a basement. So this is that town, Salida. It's another town. This is their park. Not like it's better than the park in Alamosa. It's got lions. These drill holes. Now, we were talking about Roman concrete the other day, and is it poured? Are these injection ports that they drilled at all? Is this that Roman concrete that they just put in a form? We didn't know. We couldn't figure it out, but it was everywhere. So there's the Swallow building, 1908. Why not 1888? These weren't all built at the same time. So how do the people decide? And this town is the art thing. It's like Asheville, North Carolina. If there was a hurricane that hit our area, this would be the town that, oh my goodness, all the artists, what are they going to do? They've all congregated in Salida, and there's just another A.T. Henry in 1886. How come nobody wants to build in your favorite year? So they just sit around, and we were there on the day of where they had an old International Harvester Bronco show, and then hundreds of these old things. So I'm almost done showing the pictures. This is just what their ceilings used to look like.
I think they were called a Scout, right? International Scout.
Yeah, and it was like the same thing as the Ford. It was confusing back then.
Yeah, similar. But they've been out of production.
They just kept going by, and we're going like, how come some are Ford and most are International Harvester? But we didn't really know anything about their car genre. So they're in a lot of pictures because they were everywhere in this town. This is weird. World War I, and it's sponsored by the Daughters of the Grand Army. That's the Confederacy. So they got in on, hey, you guys, we know that you're not even a town yet, and that the people in this area weren't in a town, but you did serve, and we're going to honor all the people from Wyoming in this area with, here's another statue of a, who knows what they covered up. Their bridge and this is just a huge tree. I couldn't get over the size of it. And the Alamosa, the Alamos Lida, again, here's one of those third-story buildings that the tops of the windows get covered. Some are windows, some are doors.
Sure.
It did start raining. We only got 6 inches of rain, and it rained really the night and the day that Sergio was here. But I guess, we've been praying for rain. This was just one of the businesses that you could go to in Salida. Wandering Troubadours of Finland, they got it settled in with it reminds me of that B.O.B. Didn't they have a cult of serendipity or some craziness, something?
They have, yeah.
And the town of Salida, the moon rising over it with their goddess Columbia. Sergio said that this was his overall feeling of Salida.
How do you know that's not a mermaid or what? Looks like they're waist high.
Yeah. I don't know. So was that my last picture? I think so.
Nice.
So I know he has a lot of pictures, and plus he also has a 10-minute video of me, working my way up to the waterfall, because I guess he thought, it's like, this is dangerous. He was worried I was going to fall, but I didn't. And he had a nice base for his camera and stuff like that. So
it was a timing event that Sergio was compelled to leave the chaos momentarily, where he lives and do a visit. Is it?
Yeah, he had some time, and it is a very important.
How did he commute? He drove it?
He's looking for a place to move. He knows he can't stay where he is in Los Angeles and look God in the eye later and say, well, I didn't think you were going to mess with the cities, So he's looking for a place to move. He saw Alamosa. He didn't like it. But we kept looking, and he's still looking. But this is that Zapata Falls. So it's, they don't get much. It is free. It is going to be a hard walk. But that's just part of the things. There'll be more pictures to come later, but we still have video.
Far from the noise of traffic, skyscrapers, or shopping malls. Just you, nature, and time moving slowly. Sure, Colorado.
So the second one they talk about.
Ready to explore? Nestled in San Juan County, in the southwestern corner of Colorado, Silverton is tucked deep among towering.
This is close to the mountains that we live in. So I thought, now one of them was Alamosa, I think. Creed, these are all towns that are,
Far from Creed, you'll find Lake City, another remote
in the San Juan Mountains. This is the area.
Competing for citizens? Is that
what is it?
These are all towns that are competing for citizens?
Right. Yeah, they competed, they suckered people into coming from Europe, the Dutch, a lot German, but a lot of people showed up here, suckered into, coming here, and it's all here.
And you said there's some small communities of either Mennonite or Amish.
Yeah, well, I believe our Sergio will have it. There was a busload of Mennonites that showed up to go to Zapata
Right.
Falls when we were there. So it was a good, he could. I gave him a good definition between what's the difference between Amish and Mennonite.
Yeah.
So that was
Off
good.
the grid. Yeah.
This was an interesting video. I still have the legal issues I'm going to do. Plainly difficult. One day ago, bridge under collapse. These are all that we can use. His popular videos 3 years ago raised our government decided to raise a boy and a monkey as brothers. The Albert experience, open surgeries on brains, traumatized for science. Look, it's obvious. I've done most of these, the horrors of eugenics. We know what kind of world we live in, RJ. And yet last night, after Sergio left, and I knew I had pictures to edit and everything else, but I was gassed. I was tired out. So I decided I'm just like, might as well go. My mind just said, why do people think unvaxxed people are dangerous? And I know we're walking on dangerous ground, RJ. I need you here with me, man. Because we don't want to get banned again. We don't want another strike, but I mean, they let you say things like ivermectin now online, right? And there are some things about where doctors are questioning things. So that's why I did the disclaimer. And before we go any further, what can we do to let people know? We're not trying to give medical advice. We're trying to give spiritual advice about what's really going on. How do we do that safely and protect our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, our religious rights? Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you're treading in some somewhat uncharted waters. So yeah, it's the learning curve. You learn as you go, and you try. You certainly try to not repeat any mistakes, but sometimes, yeah, you get in one mistake is all you need, and it's over. So yeah, it's a cautious progress. But yeah, as far as just exposing, everything pertaining to being normalized,
Yeah, yeah.
wow,
Because
it's such a, you know,
as people who disagree, I mean, the right to dissent, we are protected, but the vagueness of their, you can disagree, but do it carefully. It's like, or we'll
send the guys
carefully
in
cut you
dark
off.
suits over. Yeah. Because, yeah, in a mafia world, they don't let go of the reins. So, yeah.
The actual, so they did come up with some answers here, not many. Fact check had the unvaccinated pose a risk to the. How does it work? They assure you adamantly that it does work, and they punish us if we question how well it works. So fact check takes it and said, don't panic. We'll give you the answers. So they had this article. I guess we could poke through it and, didn't I get some pictures though? Maybe I got some
Written by AI, or hard to say, but
so one of the articles that they used to support it, that it is unsafe. Unvaccinated people pose a danger. Statistically, in my eyes, what they proved, it's insignificant, but it is something in their mind. Opinion: the remaining unvaccinated in public schools should be considered as bad as drunken driving. This is right.
Well, it imposed a danger to their, power grip. Definitely.
Even
That's
before in 2017, they were already pre-arguing that if vaccines work, why do unvaccinated people pose a risk in 2017? And right after September 11th, they decided, you know what we should do? We need an article about that. And when we hear about, I was a surveyor, Saul Paca was a surveyor, and he worked on the parallel azimuth direction system for the military. And it turned into GPS, and he was using a plunging theodolite, adjusting for floating magnetic north and doing everything the correct way. This is what they were using in 1776. This was their
top of the line.
primitive. Yeah, that they were going to do all the survey from 1500 to 1600. It was even worse, RJ. They used these. So until 1900, they didn't have any accurate things, no matter if they say that they found this while they were digging in 1889. So it was re-erected. And the date on it is 1804. So they said, here, we're going to carve this on in 1889 that we found this stone, and we rededicated it to chiseled out District of Columbia. Dedicated, covered. We found it. It was lost, and then, like, again, we found it, and this is important. It's by the other Washington obelisk, so it's got to be important. Trees were big. The modern people, with their 70,000 subscribers, they will never get tired of doing anything but Christ. Oh, the rocks are a mystery. They used to be trees. Oh, the rocks are a mystery. They used to be giants. Yeah, maybe. Giants Causeway. What do you see here, David? David, RJ. What do we
Off
see?
his head.
What do we see? Off with his head.
Moments prior. Yeah, maybe.
All right. What do we see over here? Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? Who do you think is
The Philistines?
who are
The
the Philistines?
Israelites?
The one on, as you look at the screen, are they on your left or your right? Which ones are the Hebrews or the Philistines?
Well, probably the Hebrews are over there to the left side. I'm speculating.
Here? With the guy
Because
pointing the sword?
that would be
think-
the Philistines.
You think that's the
Yeah.
Philistines?
Well, I don't know why not, because Goliath was with the Philistines. I don't, well, unless he did come over. Yeah, could be. I don't know if it matters a whole lot.
Not that it matters a whole lot, but these ones do look like they're running away to me.
Okay.
If this is the Hebrews over here where my mouse is circling, I count 1, 2, 3 swords and at least some spears. What do we know about that battle, RJ? There were only 2 swords in Israel at the time.
Yeah. Who's the artist that received the credit for that handiwork? Don't know.
Where is that even? I was showing a picture. That's right. I don't know who did it, but it is one of those things. But why I'm saying that is a lot of people don't understand. There were times During that war, the Philistines came up to fight it when David was there. They were paid tribute by Israel at that time. There were only two swords in the land. Saul had one, Jonathan had one. If the men of Israel wanted to sharpen a plow, they had to take it to somebody that was for the Philistines, because they were not allowed to have swords and metals or do their own ironworking. And yet they lined up for war. It was a talk. So
Yeah, as far as to critique that artist's rendition, I didn't even look. Did David have the sling on his side then when he has the sword overhead with both hands? I'm thinking that would be a detail
yes,
that
he does.
he does have the sling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Because I didn't.
it looks like
focus
it's
in on
right
that.
there. You know, he's got the
Right.
pocket stones, and
Yep.
it looks like it might look like he's laid the sling down, or for now, but he had the pocket with the other four stones in it.
Right.
So
So
there
yeah,
is,
enough detail. Yeah, and you're probably right there.
and he could do
Trees
that.
on the other side.
So we did that. We got that. Although all of the vaccines approved and authorized for use in the United States are effective at preventing symptomatic diseases, so-called breakthrough cases of COVID-19 after vaccinations were to be expected. This is where they were getting their fear, RJ. Am I sharing?
Yeah, you're sharing.
Okay, so perhaps even more, because this was a new virus that was novel, and it's more contagious than the Delta virus. We were dealing with some serious shit, RJ. And so in
Yeah.
2021, in September,
Challenging times. Yeah.
here's their idea. Now, would anybody in the world reading a Sunday morning newspaper article about this go, the updates said that since the introduction of Delta, vaccine the effectiveness against hospitalization ranged from 75 to 95. The effectiveness against infection ranged from 39 to 84, depending on the region. Well, that couldn't be more vague. That compared with the vagueness of the pre-Delta range 84 to 97. Well, that effectiveness against hospitalization and a range of 72 to 97 against effectiveness of infection, depending on region. Nobody would know that. So they just sum it up. So even if you've gotten a vaccine, there's still a chance, albeit statistically almost impossible, much lower. It could be considered, it's hard. You could still technically get not asymptomatic, but you can get symptomatic infection. Because if you're a person, basically their argument is saying, if you've been doing antibiotics for a long, long time, and then you finally, you got COVID or something, and you suffered through it, your immune is low. So you can get sick if somebody else is sick. And the previous statistics showed that if you're vaccinated against other things, you don't get them. So you should have all the vaccines, so that if somebody has had tons of infection and they're really, really low, and they're in that, forget that 97%, but they've been so sick that if they basically breathe or look at you, they're going to get sick no matter what. That's still possible. Ergo, everybody in the whole world should get every vaccine that is declared safe and effective.
Well, yeah, that's why it's so unique, because everything that you've been taught about vaccines and how they work This one wasn't like that.
No,
This
and
one's
we
totally
had
unique.
and
But and you have to trust them because they know way more than anyone else. So, and they know what they're doing, and they know it's all nefarious. But you're not supposed to be aware of that.
so we built everybody up. I mean, it was a panic. We were 6 feet. Everybody was thinking about it, whether you agreed or not. Settled. Warp
Yeah.
speed. Donald
Either
Trump.
6 feet apart or 6 feet under. They were fine either way.
And you watch your grandma die through a closed window. Sorry,
Yeah.
it was sad, crazy, heartbreaking times, but it was facilitated through DJ Trump
It was
making
for
warp
their own
speed,
good.
saying we have to do this. We'll doubt it later, and he could come out against Fauci in the 4 years.
You'll regret it later. Yeah.
But later.
For now.
So somehow, we ended up with that. And now we end up, with all the arguments. I'm accused of giving false medical advice. This is a religious world. The doctors are confused. Everyone is confused. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm giving spiritual advice that, as long as until they say you do not have these rights and come out, and because that's basically making them a god, because supposedly we have God-given inalienable rights. And in the next 3 months to 4 or 5 years, you're going to find out, no, you don't have those rights because you don't know how to exercise them correctly. Something's going to be going on. But we don't want to push it too hard, right? Because they'll just lie and
There's
say,
a lot of deceptions that are, just like that. What was it real estate mindset? What they're going through in Texas and bringing, the whole scam of property taxes and
right.
it's talk about another, a Ponzi scheme pyramid scam. And that's the whole intent, that it's been known from the get-go, and kind of like what do they call it, fractured banking, make
Right.
money out of that. It's similar type of nonsense, but that's policy. You're supposed to be led to expect that, when really it's about as nefarious as you can imagine. But yeah, that's being normalized.
Absolutely. So everybody beware the advice you take, especially if you hear it on TV. 12 years ago, I guess Terry Bradshaw was, less of, more presentable. And now look, City of Alamosa made it on his TV show on Today in America.
More successful and better places to live. Join me, Terry Bradshaw, as I explore all that's new and exciting about the USA and Canada
and its Western heritage. Home to the great Sand Dunes National Park
and the Rio Grande Scenic Railroad.
Alamosa is a great place to live.
That's the one and only golf course.
Work, play, and visit.
Nestled in the center of San Luis Valley, the city was incorporated in 1878.
Alamosa was the hub of
San Luis. So here's what they say, RJ. Check this out. This is great.
his crew breakfast at his building in Old Garland City. Then they took that building, put it on a flatbed railroad, and brought it to the newly platted Alamosa. They ate dinner in that building that very night. We literally grew in a day.
What a lie, because all the buildings aren't. And this would be zero.
Then residents enjoy a variety of unique experiences.
There are no tow ropes. This obvious athlete who could do any sport walked up a sand dune 700 feet so he could snowboard down it as an expert snowboarder and
Wearing a
make
backpack.
wouldn't that be fun? Nobody does
Oh,
that. Maybe 20, 30 people would even try it, but it doesn't
Where's the
work.
Gatorade bottle? Must be in the
It
backpack.
doesn't work as anything like snowboarding. And it's
dunes in the Western Hemisphere. These are literally mountains of sand. They're over 750 feet tall, and they are also a very classic example of a reversing dune where you have winds.
this part's interesting. See this creek? It's one of those, like it'd be an oasis if it was Africa, but it comes out and flows, not in the summer though.
Out in the closed basin as a consequence of the dry cycle have disappeared, but we are in this climatic cycle that are wetter and drier periods, and so they come back during the wetter times and disappear during the drier ones.
The area's top tourist attraction, the Great Sand Dunes National Park, draws more than 300,000 visitors.
For a couple of months of the year.
Ranges offer an abundance of outdoor activities.
No, they don't. No, they don't. We have a rodeo. They've always had a rodeo. This town should not be made famous for that kind of stuff. Banded steam engine. It's more in line with what's really going on in the San Luis and Alamosa is this.
Rumors of secret underground bases and the world's most unusual sand dune desert, would you believe them? And if they told you a large phantom fire was recently reported in this area to local sheriffs by NORAD during a UFO sighting flap, or that it was a place where various localized spook lights lurk up the road from towns where a legendary devil makes occasional appearances, all within sight of privately owned 14,000-foot mountains, would you believe such a place existed? Welcome to South Central Colorado and North Central New Mexico's San Luis Valley. This roughly 150-mile by 45-mile wide wishbone-shaped area, running north to south, is considered to be the world's largest alpine valley and may be one of America's most anomalous regions. The semi-arid desert valley floor, perched at an elevation of 7,600 feet, averages less than 6 inches of rainfall a year and is completely ringed by...
That's just not very much. But underneath us is a sea of water. We don't need the Rio Grande. We don't need the Colorado. Underneath us is one of the largest aqueducts of fresh water in the world.
Majestic mountains, many of which are over 13,000 feet high. This mysterious valley is hidden from the outside world in many ways. The San Luis Valley, like many other regions around the world, has always had its share of reported sightings and encounters going back as far as the early 1930s. Many of these alleged events were covered extensively by local and regional newspapers. Over the past 30 or so years, there have been intense so-called flap periods.
You ever hear about how those UFOs were dismembering cows in the 70s?
Yeah, I guess I think I do recall something weird.
Let me refresh your memory of where that started. Yeah, I'll refresh your memory of where it started.
Have increased UFO sightings and of unusual animal deaths, mutilations.
And lo and behold, it was just a Sasquatch on the loose. Huh?
Native American myths.
The Sasquatch
The
is
most
big,
intriguing
but
clues we
everyone.
have in regards to aspects of the UFO and unusual animal death phenomena lie in the mythic tradition of this and possibly other unique bioregions in the southwestern United States. We do know that 12 different Indian tribes use the San Luis Valley as a sacred hunting and vision quest area. No Native American ventured into the...
Nobody could own this land, RJ. The 12 tribes, you had it together. This was common ground.
Valley during the winter
It was
months.
agreed upon.
20 degrees for weeks at a time. Although no Indians lived in the San Luis Valley full-time, the oldest continuously inhabited dwellings in North America, the Taos Pueblo, are found at the extreme southern edge of the valley. Several southwestern Indian tribes consider the San Luis Valley, most specifically the San Luis Lakes area, to be the location of the Sipapu, or place of emergence. The Indians believe that they were led underground to safety at this location just before a cleansing period of earth changes. The Navajo version mentions our current time period as being the end of the fifth world. According to their tradition, they were warned of the upcoming cataclysms by sky-cat China's fireballs, signaling to them that the time to travel to the Sipapu was at hand.
That could have been signs and stars when you see them go. I'm going to jump ahead a minute.
See, CyberWest Colorado's mystifying sandbox is the world's highest and probably strangest dune field. Rising almost 700 feet above the valley floor, the age of this 50 square mile pile of sand is still not precisely known. Publicly insisted that he had experienced contact and interaction with aliens. Robert Whitting, an Episcopal minister in Alamosa, Colorado, claimed he had telepathic contact with beings operating a craft that flew next to his car while traveling on the US 160 highway late one night. He alleged they warned him of a large animal in the road just ahead of him, and he was able to swerve around a large black dog lying dead in his lane. He claimed he then commenced to have the first of several extensive telepathic encounters with the pilots of the craft. From the
This kid's pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, it's very
Snippy
imaginative.
In
Yeah.
September 1967, when the San Luis Valley first gained worldwide recognition with the celebrated case of Snippy, or Lady the Horse. Snippy was found on the King Ranch at the base of the Blanca Massif, missing all the tissue from the tip of her nose to her shoulders. The heart and brain were missing, and a strange medicine-like odor hung above the horse for several days. There were huge 18-inch giant horse-like tracks found near the carcass, and the press claimed Snippy's tracks ended 100 or so feet from where she was found. The horse's owner, Nellie Lewis, told reporters, "Flying saucers killed my horse, and later, they would come out in force one day." Although Snippy is widely considered to be the first documented unusual animal death case, it is not a classic mutilation by definition. Cattle found missing soft tissue organs, such as genitalia and/or tongue, exposed mandibles, eyes, ears.
So the Sniffy, the first horse that had all the flesh from its nose to its shoulders removed with its heart and livers and other stuff, it's not a true mutilation. They have definition for mutilation. I just wanted to make that clear. This wasn't a mutilation. They got a definition. That happens, but this wasn't.
Yeah, because it was filleted in a manner that, you know, exposing what was removed.
Did you say filleted?
Heart. Yeah, go figure.
Wow, that's gross, RJ.
An animal being drained of blood and fluids are examples of classic mutilation. Excision areas look like surgical cuts, and the surrounding crime scene is devoid of blood or any additional clues. The phenomenon may suggest some kind of experimentation. After a lull of
RJ, did the state police take his little boy with him to go check on the mutilated cows? It looks
Well,
like
maybe that day. It was there was Sunday right after church. They got dispatched, and he said, "Come on, son.
you got to check it out. They got all the flesh and heart removed from this cow."
activity in the early 70s.
Bring the camera."
During a 3-year period starting
Early
in August
70s,
1975, local law enforcement officials were at times run ragged by the mysterious cattle surgeons. Dozens of ranchers reported finding livestock, mainly cattle, mutilated, and there is evidence suggesting the actual number of cases was much higher than what was officially reported. These reported cases, with a few exceptions, featured crime scenes with an apparent lack of physical evidence, tracks, blood, footprints, etc. The 75 through 78 period in the San Luis Valley.
Look at that. That's a pretty big swatch of land there, you
You're
know.
almost forced to be suspicious whenever you see the FBI in any type of headline.
Thank you, RJ. Yeah, because I think both of us would want people to realize that this has been a setup since the time when they were doing the fiat money thing, so that when Satan being loosed, that even though there's going to be, now we know there is that narrow road, we're going to make it. Most people are not. They're going to fall for this hook, line, and sinker, RJ. That's what I think, and I think that's what you think.
Well, yeah, it's the narrow road will remain narrow.
Yeah, because we're getting set up.
Regardless of how much room is on the narrow road, it just implies that. Yeah,
But I wonder if Gabe Valdez, where my mouse is, Gabe Valdez has taken a sample of the mutilated. This was a mutilated found in Dulce, New Mexico. And, so something was going on.
Reflected what was going on throughout most of the United States and in parts of Canada. Unmarked helicopters buzzing mutilation sites, numerous UFO and anomalous light sightings, widespread press coverage, and a general indifference by federal authorities concerning these baffling crimes. What wasn't reported.
They sure had some baffling crimes last year when the drones were flying over New Jersey and they're going like, we don't know where they are.
Yeah, wasn't originally it was those weather balloons from China, was it?
Shoot them
That
down.
got crazy. Yeah.
I would skip ahead.
Mutilated, and the rest were either shot or stolen. One animal was even found over 20 miles away from his ranch. Local law enforcement officials and area ranchers claim that helicopters used in at least some of the mutilation runs in the mid to late 70s were landing at the Taylor Ranch, a 77,000-acre area in the mountains of Costilla County. To my knowledge,
That's just like it's hard to afford a couple acres in Colorado. I don't know how they do it, because they own so much.
craft and lights, and the local population, by and large, agrees that something is going on in the San Luis Valley. During the onset of an intense UFO flap period last November, 1993, numerous multiple witnessed day and night sightings of a silent, large silver sphere with blinking red and blue lights sequencing around the bottom.
So this is a weird area. I just think that
That's supposed to be a authentic, untouched photograph, or is it what?
I
Or
guess.
they use? Oh, see,
Oh yeah, right. No, that's definitely fake.
well, that's what I mean. Like the other ones they were showing. I don't.
Yeah, they're all fake.
Was that a 6-toe foot?
Yeah, that's what they would have you believe.
Strange creatures have been seen for many years in the San Luis Valley.
A platypus?
One story claims individuals in the 60s found a platypus in a high mountain lake in the Blanca Peaks area. The devil
was lost.
One of the more bizarre apparitions reported is the legendary devil.
Whatever. So we got this one.
Where we'll even mark the Meridian site. The project team gained a stronger sense of American permanence with the arrival of a sturdier structure on December the 18th, 1804. The Pier Stone, though a smaller relic, replaced what might have been George Washington on a horse in a world remarkably similar to ours. King also requested drawn lines and a flat freestone on top, but most significantly, the new prime meridian appeared to be officially recognized, at least partially, though upon deeper investigation, this was probably not much more than an appearance, since not an act of Congress nor the voice of the president certified that this marker was to be officially recognized. Regardless, it created what would be referred to as one of the 4 different Washington meridians that have been laid out in Washington, D.C. throughout its history. Its marker consisted of a pier that peaked from the ground with a stone laid on top, a rather simple design, all things considered. With a name like Pierstone, many stories were imagined in response to this almost nautical title. For example, one rumor suggested that when the Washington Monument was being constructed in 1848, this little stone was used to moor sea craft, which was quite ridiculous indeed, but this type of folk story contributes to the mystique surrounding the Jefferson Pier. Anyhow, the stone would soon be destroyed somewhere in.
So in 1804, Jefferson requested a survey, and I showed earlier the pictures that, I am a surveyor. I was given the proper equipment of a theodolite. These people were dealing with, this is not accurate. You can't plunge it. You can't go back to zero. You can't check your math. This is not what is considered surveying. But they did it. It is not known why he requested a survey of a new meridian, if he even did, after he had previously directed a survey of a different one. Now, the idea of the meridian stone, they know it's crossed out. They know somebody tried to break it, not let it read. There's an inscription on it. It's obviously chiseled out. But it's still just sitting there. And this isn't the one that's buried under the manhole cover. So they have an idea of what they think it says, but they can't be sure. Yeah, obviously the last word is an E, but What we got here? So this gets the guy that supposedly made it, just turning into a regular show now because, and he was a surveyor back then, and they show somebody with this is an accurate survey machine. You can do it, but anything less, probably not. You could do it manually. That's an electric one. But these guys, everything's fake, man. They did this. Of course, how can you be a devout Quaker and a member of the American Philosophical Society? The American Philosophical Society, that's Madame Blavatsky leading to Aleister Crowley and those guys. Jesus is not, it's goofy. The
Well,
Quakers are not the example of good Christians,
well, the Word of God. You're taking a world that is a stationary closed system with a sea level plane and wrapping it around a huge ball and being told, yeah, it's as it teeters and wobbles and being hurled to an ever expanding vacuum. Uh, yeah, this is all what's happening. Wrong again, but go figure. Yeah, there's a reason why so much physics it doesn't make sense. Gravity is still a theory, and other theories that have taken precedent as far as like it's a God-given gospel and it's total BS.
What do we got going here, RJ?
Oh, that's what I just sent you. Well, again, that's the fractured banking system and the argument about the deception. No, we need the deception and let's go with the deception. And it'll be great, for a while, until it implodes. And then, but until then, everything's good. Everything's cool. Yeah. It's a Ponzi scheme.
It is. And what we want people to realize is that's the setup. That's
Well,
the
it's another
setup.
one of the setups, but yeah, but you get all that many and combined, yeah, it's a Disney World production of life or something. It's a dizzy world. Must
I
be
got a
from all
half
the
dollar
sewage.
yesterday. I bought one of
Must
these,
be-
RJ. I got a half dollar for $22 yesterday, but that's about what they're worth. They say,
Yeah, right.
the silver half dollar is
Yeah,
if
fair
it's
market value.
it could be worth 225 or 600. But if it's just loose, it's worth $20 because it's got silver in it.
Yeah.
But I had some, what's this? Zophar got into the act of man lying under your boils. I was studying Job. We did have some time to do some Bible study with Sergio while we were here. And I was telling him, because how did they do these things with they showed up on a train and they built these huge buildings. And well, I don't think that King Hiram, when he was only sold to King Solomon, he overlaid them with gold. When Solomon bought stuff, he could overlay them with gold, made new doorposts. He built these things. Solomon built the house, finished it, covered it inside with 20 cubits. This is just the house of the forestry by 60 cubits, by 100. And then, he built the most holy place from stones that were cut.
Well, yeah, the whole thing is when you have all that labor, all the logistics and everything in place, once you complete a project, you might as well, keep that train rolling because yeah, the efficiency and its ability to produce and construct, yeah, it was
These are,
didn't have an equal anywhere else, you know.
and depending on how much money and what you ordered, you could buy
Right, how
things.
many cities you might have to forfeit. But yeah, that's all part of however they taxed, and yeah, the commodities they were bartering with. Yeah, it all had a value, an agreed upon value.
And they were made of costly stones, cut to measure, sawed with saws, back and front, even from the foundation of the coping to the outside of the great court. The foundation was made of costly stones, huge stones, 8, 10 cubits. That's just unimaginable. Costly
But I
stones.
mean, you have to use your imagination. You not only have all that labor doing what's described, but you also have that other labor force that makes the tools and maintains the tools for the labor that's actually getting the work done also. I mean, it should just blow your mind, but that's the logistics.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what's being described there is true, and to imagine, you know, everything that's required, yeah, to be successful, make it happen in a timely manner when you're be on schedule, blah blah blah, and labor's leaving, labor's being replaced, you know, so you're not totally wore out. You know, you can only work your slave so hard for so long, and yeah, you'll have a huge compromise if you don't rotate that hard labor eventually.
Right. You don't work your servants to death. Job 37:16, RJ, do you know the balancing of the clouds? Do you understand how the clouds float? Again, it's
Yeah,
the
that was interesting in that
balancing.
water thing. You know how the water gets the negative charge. Yeah, and then
Let's
it's
let's look at a little bit of that context. Then Solomon said, "The Lord has said that he would dwell in thick darkness. I have indeed built you an exalted house, a place for you to dwell in forever." Then the king turned around and blessed all of the assembly of Israel, while all of the assembly of Israel stood. And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who with his hand has fulfilled what he promised with his mouth to David my father, saying, since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city out of all the other tribes of Israel in which to build a house that might have my name be there, but I chose David to be over my people. Now it was in the heart of David, my father, to build a house for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. But the Lord said to David, whereas it was in your heart to build me a house for my name, you did well that it was in your heart. Nevertheless, you shall not build the house, but your son, who shall be born to you, shall build the house for my name. Now the Lord has fulfilled the promise that he made. For I have risen in the place of David my father and sit on the throne of Israel, as the Lord promised. And I have built the house for the name of the Lord and the God of Israel. And there I have provided a place for the ark, in which the covenant of the Lord that he made with our fathers, then he brought them out of the land of Egypt. This is all a big, long plan from the very beginning that, you know, David was a man of blood. He couldn't do it. He did it. And, you know, the whole thing of, you know, can you make the cast iron mirror? Well, that's one thing. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone that Moses put there at Horeb, where the Lord made a covenant with the people of Israel. When they came out of the land of Egypt, when the priests came out of the holy place, a cloud filled the house of the Lord, so that the priest could not stand to minister, because the cloud, for the glory of the Lord, filled the house. Oh, I'm on Kings, not the Job. So it is Job 37:16. Let's look at that in the English Standard. Starting at 11, he loads the thick cloud with moisture. The clouds scatter his lightning. They turn around and around by his guidance to accomplish all that he commands on the face of the habitable world. That would mean there are parts that are inhabitable. Whether for correction or for his land or for love, he causes it to happen. Hear, O Job, stop and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know how God lays his command upon them? He causes the lightning of his cloud to shine. Do you know the balancings of the clouds? The wondrous works, who is perfect in knowledge. And this is the one, can you, like him, spread out the skies as hard as a cast metal mirror? Well, we're not dealing with that. I'm worried about the hovering moisture. What's going on with that?
Well, that's covered in that one video that I sent, or I forget,
Which
that was
one?
maybe a week ago. Where that fourth phase of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, yeah, that's getting kind of deep with.
It
yeah,
is. One-time usage for balancing?
Yeah, well, yeah, because of the elevation. I think that's. I mean, the translation of what was being described in the original text to bring it, to this period in time where the frequencies and what's happening with that fourth phase of water and how it gets negatively charged and what's caught, where, yeah, it's
I'm lost. The fourth phase of water and stuff is so hard. I've been kind of fixating on how it happens so fast. I mean, if you spit on something, it instantly, the water in it, it's sticking to that. It's going to stick.
Even your saliva changes with the enzymes that your body,
Yeah, it's the exclusion zone.
It's a strange, marvelous world that we live in, but it's not going anywhere. It's a stationary world. It's it's a closed system. It has a sea level plane. There's different characteristic truths to it. This world we live in, and there's one way out. We know that, but it's not during this lifetime. It's when your life here is over. That's your exit from this world to the next. But again, do your own research.
I'm going over this stuff, and I'm going to probably be presenting on the three friends, because there were four people there. Elihu was the young one. And when you go back over the three friends, where were they wrong? The Lord rebuked the three friends. Where did they go wrong? They blamed Job. You must be hiding something. God would never do this to somebody who hadn't sinned. That was the three older men.
There's a difference. It wasn't God doing. God was allowing Satan with limitations.
That's the takeaway. Consider now who being innocent has ever perished. Where were the upright ever destroyed? That was the first accusation where, you seem nice, Job, but where else has God ever punished anybody that hadn't done anything wrong? So they couldn't believe it. They were intent, like Job's wife, just admit
curse
something.
And die. Yeah.
And so then the other one, after the second one said, your children must have sinned against him, so their punishment was well deserved. Again, Elihu never said that. The young one at the end, and this is what was basically their Their children beg from the poor. They must give back their stolen riches. Job 20. Okay, these guys were in their mind, God would never test his people. Job 21:19. Well, you say at least God will punish their children, but I say he should punish the ones who sin so that they understand his judgment. They are being punished. So, but anyway, I don't want to keep going long on these, so I try to keep these around an hour on Sunday mornings. And I just, I haven't had a chance. I know you've been busy, but our minds are thinking about you. We were thinking about you and Sergio yesterday, and wanted to share that stuff. Got to go back into Job and Kings and let people know. Yeah, there was a group of people that said, we're always going to dig it down to the foundation, put our stones on the bedrock and build these things. And that's what King Tar says, we'll guarantee it, And when it arrives, you don't put it together like Legos. You just slide in blocks that somehow, once they're in place, they had something that they're just going to stick to each other, or they're going to have the pre-made little triangles where they pour metal into it and now they're locked together. That is a worldwide observed phenomenon. So to sum it up, RJ, close it with telling them, like, look, we don't enjoy going around saying, we're right, you're wrong. But in some cases, we have to. Would you agree with that? I mean, this isn't for me to go around saying, you've got to listen. The Lord gave me a new theology. That's not anything anybody wants to hear. They want to discover that theology. But I don't really have any choice. Do I? Because, okay, I did peyote. I got a new theology. And now the people that glommed on, as they use that word, to it, like, well, I could make a living talking about the short season, but I'm going to say demon entities of when I did psychedelics warned me the Atlantis thing, that the devils can mate with the clowns. It's all clowns or demons. If you want to have a ministry where you interview people that trust in the Torah only, or you trust in people that think they can heal, cast out demons. I'm talking about Paul from Understanding Conspiracy and the demon clown thing. They're faking it. There is a true theology. Other people are not teaching it, the whole thing. And as I've said many times, that I think, and I don't remember if it was Subtle Infinity or Days of Noah, but it rang a bell when he said, when somebody exposes a lie, it doesn't mean they're telling you the truth. They're going to expose a lie and replace it with, so it's UFOs in Atlantis. That's where it's going, right, RJ?
Yeah, you need to be careful of, where you're receiving any new information and what it's based upon. These are busy times. There's a lot of information available, but if you just stick with the truth of the matter,
and the truth is Jesus Christ. And at one time, he taught his disciples to pray. RJ, could you remind us of that prayer?
Well, yeah, I can recite one translation of it.
Why don't we close with that? Why don't we wrap this up with that?
And it goes something like this.
Everybody bow your head and let's pray with it.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. And as we are learning more and more through all these auditors watching people about what really is trespassing, forgiving the trespassing. The trespassing is if you walk somebody up on this, like, hey, did you know this is private property? No. Well, you have to leave. Oh, okay. If you don't leave, then you're trespassing. So there's a lot of terms we have to come up with. I want people to remember that this definitely is a short season. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. It's simple. The mud flood was Armageddon. They added the 1,000 years, and now our overtrained brains are spinning, going, how could they got me to believe in a globe and a trinity? This is crazy. But it's supposed to be crazy. And then you figure it out line upon line, precept upon precept, that it is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. And that's why me, RJ, and the rest of my friends, whoever wants to be my friends, will never tell you anything else, because we know we're called, we're chosen, we're being faithful to having your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakame. It's just another way of saying goodbye.